I think I spoke last week to Congressman Magaziner, who said this war is not about drugs. It is about oil and it is about getting regime change. Do you think that's the case?
Can it be about both? I mean, look, I got no problem with what they're doing. I think the American
But
people
then
are
what happened
behind it.
to America first and not getting involved with other wars? Because a lot of people, even, on the right as well, say, hold on a second, do we want to start another war?
Good question. Well, I don't think it's very America first to let a narco-terrorist state with an illegitimate government that's aligned with China and Russia and Iran do things in our hemisphere that we don't like with drugs or anything else. I don't think we like it that they're trying to go into Guyana right now and take over their oil either. And so the president's position has always been, this is the Western Hemisphere. We're going to police it. And we don't even recognize these guys as a legitimate government. And so
How prudent of him.
he's trying to bring about a situation where the worst people in the hemisphere are not enriching themselves, not distributing drugs. And if we wind up with a legitimately elected government there that's aligned with the United States instead of Russia, China, and Iran, that's America first.
I'd love to add some facts to this.
I see you leaning in, John.
Yeah, thank you so much. Because we are murdering people in boats in foreign waters based on lies. There is no evidence. There is no proof of any drugs on these boats. There is no due process for these people. We would not allow cops to murder Americans we think are carrying drugs. Donald Trump's pardon of the Honduran president who smuggled 400 tons of cocaine into this country shows they are not serious about stopping the flow of drugs. This is because some Republicans just can't give up the thought of a second war for oil in this century. And I'm more interested in the bombings of October 16th, not September 2nd. October 16th was when there were 2 survivors, and we chose to not murder those survivors. And they sat on a Navy boat for 2 days. And then you know what our Navy did? Repatriated them back to Colombia and Ecuador. They sent them home, which means either we are murdering innocent people or we are letting dangerous narco-terrorists go free.
John,
That's the deal.
I can report to you what Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman said today, who went into a classified briefing.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some eye-popping moments featuring none other than Trump's sidekick, Scott Jennings. And you won't believe what he's been saying lately. Alongside him, we have the MAGA robot who's been cranking out some seriously questionable statements. Honestly, just look at her face. It's like you can see the uncertainty radiating from her. It's almost as if she's grappling with just how out of touch her comments are. Trust me, you won't want to miss this breakdown. So grab your snacks and settle in, because we're about to dissect these bizarre exchanges and highlight why they're getting so much attention. Are these just blunders, or is there something deeper at play here? Let's explore all of that and more, so stick around.
And came out and said, we know exactly who's on the boats. We know exactly what they're doing. We know exactly what they have.
We can't show you. It's all real, but we can't ever let you see it.
These are classified briefings, but you have a United States senator of the president's opposition party saying, I got a briefing, I saw the intelligence, and we know exactly what we're doing.
You know, they lied for months. It was about fentanyl.
If you want to call John Fetterman a liar, go ahead. But that's what he said.
It's a lie that fentanyl comes from Venezuela. And then they corrected that lie and changed it to cocaine. They can't keep their story straight. We are murdering people in foreign waters because we want 17% of the world's oil.
How do you see it?
The reality is that the vast majority of Americans, about 57%, are very supportive of this. They see this as an extension, not of Trump's foreign policy, but ultimately of protecting the homeland. And since these attacks have begun, 95% decrease in the number of drugs that are being smuggled here. So I think, again, we've always policed our own backyard, the Western Hemisphere. And bear in mind, yes, this is about drugs. It's about a lot of things. It's about drugs. It's also about Venezuela is a narco-terrorist state. They've sent gangs. There's been FBI reports on this. And one final piece, people have been very critical that America first means America alone. It means that America is isolated. And this is actually essentially a proxy war. China is very supportive of Venezuela. We have Russia. And so I think this is also an element of deterrence, right? We're showing our adversaries that we are strong and that we have the ability to police our own.
That's a lie. Senators are being given evidence every day.
We're killing people.
All of the classified
We're just killing people with no evidence. No, I'm sorry. Law enforcement means you intercept the boat, you put the dope on the table, you shake the guys down to get a bigger fish.
How's
They're
that been
not
working?
trying
How's
to
that been
do law
working for the
enforcement.
United States?
They are murdering people, and Susie Wiles said the real reason, because they want to force Maduro to quit.
I do want to ask you, you mentioned a number. I think you said, what was it, 95%? What was the number?
Oh, yes, of fewer drugs being smuggled into the U.S.
Where is that number coming from? 95%
The federal
fewer
government.
drug.
They've
Where?
cited that, the Secretary of War.
Oh, the folks who said it
was.
was fentanyl from
I
Venezuela?
mean, is there some proof? Because I have not heard that number, that 95%.
Yeah, they say
by the way,
the boat
they're
traffic is
also-
reduced by that.
And by the way, there are also studies
Now let's
that
shift gears and talk about some real head scratchers like Fetterman. I mean, seriously, is he even more out of touch than Biden? Scott Jennings never misses a chance to criticize Biden for being, not all there, but then he goes and puts his weight behind Fetterman? Come on. It's such a wild contradiction. And let's not forget the big mantra we keep hearing from the America First crowd. No more new wars. Yet these are the very same people who seem to be itching to start one. It's like they're completely overlooking the fact that when you're talking about cutting immigration at the same time you're gearing up for another military conflict, you're setting the stage for some serious consequences. And let's be real. This isn't just about politics. It's about real lives. When we go in and destabilize countries for their resources like, say, their oil, do we really think that won't have an impact? Look around. The refugees coming our way aren't just statistics. They're people fleeing chaos that we played a part in creating. If we enter this new war, brace yourselves, because it's going to cost us. We're talking billions upon billions, and guess who's footing the bill? Yep, you guessed it, us. And while we're all scrambling to pay for this massive military endeavor, what about the health care subsidies we're promised? Spoiler alert, they're likely going to vanish. So as we unpack this mess, remember, it's not just some distant conflict. It's an ongoing cycle that impacts real lives, including ours. Keep watching, because we're just getting started.
show that when the Coast Guard stops boats suspected of smuggling drugs, that at least 1/4 of the time they are wrong. So what if you blow up boats willy-nilly and insist that they're drug smugglers, at least 1/4 of the time you're wrong.
Well, hold on. Willie, you have U.S. senators of the president's opposition party going into classified briefings, coming out of the briefing saying, we know who's on the boats. We know what's on the boats. This is a righteous move. This is not a one-party situation.
That is
evidence is being shown to the people that are elected
They
to sit in
sent
the
two of them home to
classified
Ecuador and
briefing.
Colombia. They
So there-
sent them home. If
there
they're
are a couple of
terrorists,
things,
why were they
because
released?
Fetterman isn't the only person in the Democratic wing that has seen some of this and said that it does appear, at least in the September 2nd strikes, that there were drugs potentially on the boats. He is not the only one. But I guess the big question is, they've been putting these videos out constantly, very quickly. And this is the only one that they have held back that we know of, that they won't show, that there is a demand for what the public to see because they want to see what's being done in their name as to whether or not a war crime was committed here. And it's quite serious. So I guess the question is, why not release it? If you are on the up and up, why not release this video?
Yeah, look, I am pro releasing the videos. I think it's good to release the videos. They say there's classified reasons not to release this one. I wouldn't be able to tell you what that is, but in my opinion, as a political matter, it's good for them to lean into this and release these videos because I think the American people are behind them.
Well, when I pressed Susie Wiles on this issue, I said, look, drugs.
And guys, to correct it, she said another one, 57%. Guys, 62% of Americans are okay with intercepting the boats, not blowing them up. Like, these people just lie. The American people are okay with intercepting drug boats, not blowing them up. 3 in 10 are okay with blowing up drug boats. These people are effing liars.
Smuggling is not a capital offense, punishable by the death penalty,
Correct.
no matter how much Donald Trump wishes that were so.
Amen.
And she conceded that. She said, but this is a war. I said, well, it's a war according to the president,
Yeah,
not
not
according to anyone else. And you need congressional approval for war. So, and she didn't have a very satisfactory answer to that.
Tezlyn, what do you see happening here when you look at what has happened over time? Just yesterday, we saw more strikes, and those strikes were, the video was released right away. What's happening?
They're picking and choosing. As you know, I'm a veteran. And just a couple of weeks ago, it was, we're going to release the tapes. They've changed the story, every other hour. 1 minute we were supposed to double tap, no, we're not supposed to double tap, then don't call it double tap, then we waited 45 minutes, I was watching, then I wasn't watching. It's all over the place, and people have lost confidence. And it's so interesting how the story has now just completely, changed. On last week, you had Republicans and Democrats that were saying something is wrong here. This is a war crime. And it's just very interesting how now in these classified, yes, Scott.
No Republicans called it a war crime.
I think
No, they
some
were
of
saying-
the
no, they were saying
confusion is
something's wrong
also
here.
some faulty
They-
reporting from
Yeah,
the Washington
it's always
Post.
the reporters. It's always the reporters, isn't it? It's so interesting.
think
It's
that's
always
created
the
a lot
reporters.
of
Pete Hegseth's
confusion
take on
because-
this is you would totally agree with us if you saw the video, which will never happen.
Right, and now it's
I
time
mean,
to see the video, and we don't see it. But it's
Hegseth and Rubio went up to the Hill today and briefed members in both chambers. I interviewed one of them on my radio show today, Todd Young of Indiana, who has sometimes actually been a little bit at odds with the Trump administration. He was satisfied with what he heard today and supportive of what the administration did and thought they were being transparent about what they were doing and why they were doing it.
Why should
But
adults
they're-
believe Pete Hegseth?
I mean, but they are not being transparent with the American
American
public.
people,
I
that's
think that's the issue. It's that there are so many that have been released and not this one, and it does make a lot of people question what happened. What's the difference?
You're saying there were no Republicans that were saying something's
You
wrong
said
with
they
this?
were. You said
I was saying-
your statement was they called it war crimes.
I
I
was
didn't
saying
hear
there
any
was- no,
Republicans call it.
I said Democrats and both Republicans were saying something's wrong here. There were people
They
who were
had
saying it was
questions.
possible.
They had
Right.
questions.
So
and I'm telling you, they went up and briefed them today, and the Republicans I spoke to were satisfied with the transparency and the explanations about what happened.
also
now in
known
the
as
Pentagon-
fall in line.
Career military are trying to explain to civilians in the Pentagon that this is not
And
what
just when
war
you think
is.
it couldn't get crazier, the MAGA robot starts criticizing reporters for not being factual. Talk about shameless. This reminds me of the National Guard situation. Sure, flooding an area with cops can drop crime rates temporarily, but what's the long-term plan? Are we really going to bomb those boats forever if we think it's stopping drugs? Let's face it, this isn't just about drug trafficking. They're using it as a cover for regime change, knowing full well that war isn't popular. It's all about distraction. That claim of a 95% drop in drug smuggling? That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Anyone with common sense should know it's absurd. Media outlets can't fact-check every statement live, but there has to be accountability. If you spread blatant misinformation, you shouldn't be welcomed back. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.